Hi guys, Mr. B here, and today we're going to be looking at some SATs papers. So what I'm going to do is I'm running through the SATs paper, going through each question and showing you how to answer it. What I suggest you do is you download the paper from down there, print it off, and have a go at the paper yourself first. Then watch this video with your paper, run through, see if you've got the right answers. If you haven't, see where you made some mistakes and how you can correct those. Now, if any of the questions, if I have made any videos on that question that will help you out getting questions in future, if you've got more on them, I will put them up in the top corner. They'll come up so you can click on them and you can have a look if you want to. That means if you're on a question, you got it wrong or you find it a little bit harder, if you click up there, it will show you how to do them. Now, I haven't done videos on all the different types of questions you will get yet, so all the ones I have done will come up, and if I do more in future, I will add them in. Okay, let's get on with the paper. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the Mathematics Paper 1 from 2019 SATs, and that is the Arithmetic paper. So let's get started straight away. Now remember, with the first few questions, you tend to be wanting to answer them quicker. Some of them you might find a little bit more difficult, but remember, we don't have much time to get all the questions answered in this test, so you won't be going as quick as you can. This one, we've just got a quick question trying to mix us up a little bit because we've got the equals on the other side that we normally have it, but it's basically just 6,000 plus 90. And as we can see, because there is a 0 in the tens column, we can just add it straight on. We should be doing that in our head, and we should be seeing that 6,090. Don't get confused because it's on the wrong side. And like again, shouldn't be using a method, just done it there to show you that these two columns, 9 plus 0, it's easy to do, we can do it in our head. Next question says, same again, we've got the equals, the answer box on this side, but it's basically just an addition. 8,275 plus 82. So if you wanted to, you can do a quick column addition. This will only be if you were really struggling. Again, this is another question that I would suggest that you do in your head. Okay. Again, it's an early one on. Our answer will be 8357. Do that mentally. I'd probably add my 80, then my 2, or vice versa. So add 2 on, and I've got 8,275. Then add 80 on it and count tens. I don't have to write this down. That's just showing you what the answer is. Again, that's something we should be doing in our heads. You can count in tens, or you could add 100 and take 20 off because you know that 80 is less than 20. Whichever is going to be quickest for you. Now, this question, we have our answer already. But remember, our equal sign means the same as, so it's saying 826 is the same as 800 plus something plus 6. Okay, well, we know we've got our 800 and we've got our 6, so the only thing we're missing is our 20. 3 questions we should be able to do quite quick there. If not, practice your mental addition skills a little bit. So in question 4, we've got something, so basically that's telling us question mark plus 5 is 341. Well, what we can do is the inverse operation. So if we add 5 to a number, we get 341. So if we take 5 away from this, then we will get our answer. And again, 341, take away 5 is something that we should be doing in our head. Okay, so we would get the answer 336. Okay, again, just doing it quickly in our head, all we've got to do is work out what is beneath it. Now here we have 9 times 41. A couple of ways you could do this. Some people might end up straight away seeing that and going, oh, that's a hard sum, I'm going to do this. And you will get the right answer. You're doing your 9 times 1, which is 9. 9 times 4, which is 36. And you get your answer 369, which is right. But if we're looking for speed, the quicker way we will be able to do that, if we have a look, we need to recognise when we see things, we're times it by say 9 or 11. It's very close to 10. Times it by 10 is easy. If I times 434 times that by 10, so I've got a bit of a wonky multiplication there, just writing with my mouse. We've got 410. So we know what 10 is. To find out what 9 is, we could take away 41. Okay, so take away 40, then take away 1, and we'd get the same answer. Again, quicker way of doing it. We've got an addition here of two decimal numbers. Now again, up to you how you want to do this. Now I would look at that number, and what I'll do is I'll show you the slower way first with our column addition. Remember, when we do column addition with decimal numbers, we should be lining up the decimals. Okay, so we've got 3, 1, 2, 3. See, I've got a gap there, and I fill that with my placeholder as 0. So, adding them together, 3 there, 7 plus 2, 9, 8 plus 1 is 9, 5, 6, 7, 8, and obviously my decimal one goes on there. Now, I will tell you a quicker way to do this. What I would look there is it's easy to add numbers if they're not bridging 10. And what that means is if we're adding two numbers together and they're going to equal more than 10, okay, or if we take the numbers away and it's going to go under 0, that's when it gets hard because we have to carry things. You can see there when I did that addition, I didn't have to carry anything. It's because if I quickly look at these numbers, 5 and 3 I know are less than 10, 8 and 1 I know are less than 10, 7 and 2 I know are less than 10, and 3 and obviously it would be 0 are less than 10. So I can add up. 3 add 0 is 3, 7 add 2 is 9, 8 add 1 is 9, 5 add 3 is 8. See how I did that there without writing it down? Because I'm not bridging 10 anywhere, not going over 10. Okay, and that's a quicker way to do that one. With this whole page, we should be going quite quickly, and I'll show you how when we look at it. Now, initially it looks like we've got a division sum, which some people find hard, but we've got 180 divided by 3. First thing I'm going to do is knock my 0 off, because I know that 18 is in the 3 times table. So I know that 18 divided by 3 is 6. Okay? But obviously I've took my 0 back off, so I'll put it back on and I would get 60. Okay, if I put my 0 back there. Okay, and that's how I've done that really quickly. Taking off my 0 and put it back on at the end. Okay, so I could do that without writing that down. So I know the 6 3's and the 18, add my 0 back on 60. Again, the same with this one. We've got 120 divided by 12. We should know straight away that that is 10, because we should know our 12 times table. And we know 12 times 10 is 120. So our division, if we know our factor families, that's the same. And last one, 213 times 0. Any number times 0 is 0. Okay, a really quick one there. You can see that page I went through really quickly, and it shows you as well how important it is to know our times tables. Although those two divisions, we got them quickly because we knew our times tables, and if we know times tables facts, we know times and 0 will always equal 0. Again, showing us how important learning our times tables are. Revise them as much as you can before your sats, guys. In question 10, we've got another division. Now you can use the bus stop method if you want. So we could say there's 1 7 in 9 with 2 left over, and that's a 2, promise you. And then there was 3 in 21, so that must be 13. Quite quick, again, if you know your tables, you sometimes do quite quick. Even quicker way, if you know your 7 times table, you know that 7 times 12 is 84. And you know that if you count on, it's 1 7 away, so it'll be 13. That was only something really, if you could see that, oh, that's really nearly 84, you might pick that up straight away. If you don't, that way was still quite a quick way to do it, but again, only if you know your 7 times table. With this one, we've got a takeaway sum, and again, we've got the answer on this side, so quite a lot on this paper. Don't let it confuse you if you see them. So 87 take away 65. Again, you could do that one, but that one's going to be 7 take away 5. Is 2, and 8 take away 6. 8 take away 6, sorry, is 2. So your answer would be 22. Now you could go back through and you double check your answers. You could check, so we'll add 22 on here, 60, 70, 85, add over 2, 75. Now again, you could do this, or if you want to do it mentally, that would be a way of checking. Mentally, again, look, we're not bridging 10, okay? So 8 take away 6 doesn't go under 0. 7 take away 5 doesn't go under 0, so I've got 7 take away 5 is 2, and 8 take away 6 is 2, okay? So that's a way to do it mentally and quicker. On this sum, I've got 602, take away something equals 594. Now I could do the inverse, and I could do 602, take away 594, show me what the difference is, so I'll find out what I've taken away. However, when I look at these two numbers, and this is something that you're just going to have to get with practice, when I look at these two numbers, they're very close together, and I want to know what I've taken off 602 to make it 594. Well, why don't I just count up? I know straight away that it's going to be 6 to get to 600, and then we need another 2. So they must have taken away 8. So rather than writing out the sum, doing it quite quickly, because I've noticed the numbers are really close together, I know my number bonds to 10, that took me a couple of seconds. Question 13 is another division where we can take the 0 off, use our times table, and know that 121 divided by 11 would be 11, and put our 0 back on. Okay, again, knowing our times tables, being able to see that 121 is in the 11 times table, meaning we can take the 0 off and it's easy for us. Question 14, we go on to times them by 10. These should be easy for us. We shouldn't be losing any marks in times them by 10, 100,000, and dividing. Basically, for times them by 10, we are moving everything up one space because we've got 1 0. Okay, so 200. Your digits will never change order. Okay, there's two ways you can think of doing it. You can think of moving everything up one place, or you can move your decimal point. Okay, so if I'm at 20 will become 200, 5 will become 50, 3 tenths will become 3, and 4 hundredths will become 4 tenths. Or I could say I'm just going to move this decimal place there, and that automatically does that for you. Whatever your answer is going to be, if you're times by 10, 100, or 1,000, or dividing, the order of your digits will be the same. What I mean, look, 2534, 2534. It is the decimal place that will move. We might have to add zeros, take zeros off, but the digit order will always stay the same. Now, question 15, we have to use our BODMAS or BIDMAS, whatever it is that you know it as. Again, I've got videos on my channel if you want to know exactly how it is to do these. But basically, if we use our BODMAS, the first letter is B, which is brackets, which means we do everything in the brackets first. So 30 take away 24. Again, I'm writing 30 take away 24. I know the answer off my top of my head, 6. So in the paper, you don't have to do that. You might want to, if you're going to do it quick to remind you if you're double checking. But if you think just know straight away, that's 6 to 30, you got 6. So then we're left with the sum 60 divided by 6. So it's very easy. We know that there are 10 sixes in 60. Question 16 is asking us about a cubed number. Now, you don't have to know all your cube numbers and your squared numbers off by heart or anything like that, as long as you know what they are. If we are if we're squaring a number, we mean we're doing 8 times 8, so 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4. If we're cubing a number, we are doing the number times itself 3 times, so 2 times 2 times 2, or 3 times 3 times 3, or 4 times 4 times 4. You can see there, put a little 2 up there because there's 2 of the number, 3 of the number. Easy way to remember it. So we're doing 3, so it means we're doing 3 times 3 times 3. Now this is where some people get mixed up as well. Just take it one at a time. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so now we have 9 times 3. 9 times 3 is 27. Again, don't have to remember what all the cube numbers are. As long as you know how they work, you know your 3 times table, you will get that one quite easily. Now we've got one where we're timesing by 1,000 for question 17, and it's very similar to the times by 10 that we had earlier on, but we're going to move it up 3 decimal places.
Okay, now we can see that because it has 3 zeros on. That's how I remember it. 100 has 2 zeros, so we're moving up 2 places, or moving this place 2 places. 1000 has 3. Now, because this isn't a decimal number, and I'm times by 1000, I can just think, oh, I'm going to put 3 zeros on the end. Helps me to be fast, but you have to remember that will only work if it's not a decimal number. Okay, if that was a decimal number, 10.1, and I just put 3 zeros on, my number would be exactly the same. Okay, it's still 10.1, but now it's 10.1000, which it technically was to start off with. So only use the tip of adding the zeros if it is a whole number. Now, next one is one that people can find hard, percentages, maybe because we don't look at them as much, but we do use them a lot in real life, so it is really good to know your percentages. With this one, we need to find 20% of a number. Now, we should know our obvious ones that we need to find, okay? 10% we always divide by 10. Okay, so divide by 10, we find out what 10% is. If we want to know what 20% is, okay, we can divide by 5. If we want to know what 50% is, okay, we divide by 2. Things like that we should know. I'm not going to go into that too much. I do have a video on finding percentages if you want to look at that. Now, you can see there is, if I wanted to, I could just divide that number by 5. Okay. Now, the way I could do that is, I could obviously do 5 divided by 3000 as a bus stop, but what I'm going to do there is, I know how many 5s are in 30, and it is 6, and then add my 2 zeros back on. See there? Took my 2 zeros off, saw how many in there, and added them back on. Again, you need to see that. What some people might do, what I might do as well, is if I think, right, I need to find 20%, what I'm going to do is find 10%, so I'm going to divide it by 10, because I can do that easy. 10% would be 300, and I know that I need 20%, so if 10% is 300, I can double that to get 20%, again getting 600. Okay, now with that one, that's 2 different methods. What I do implore you to do is don't put the percentage sign on there. Okay, it is not 600%. 20% of 300 is 600. Okay, imagine you had 3,000 footballs. 20% of them will be 600 footballs, not 600%. That will lose you the marks. Don't do that. Question 19, we're doing subtraction this time with decimals. Again, you could set it up with written method, and you could have column subtraction. Because you have 2 zeros in, that's going to be really messy. I would simply do this. What I'm going to do is I'm break my number up. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is 7 take away 2. Easy, quick one for me. So I've got 5. So my question is now 5 take away 0.25. Now, because I'm taking away, we know it's going to go to 4, and it'll be 4.75. Because remember, this is our hundredths column, so there's 100 of them in 1. So if I'm taking 25 away, it means I've got 75 left. Again, look at videos on decimals that I have on my channel if you struggle with that one. Now we've had a few times them by 10 and times them by 1000. Now we've got to divide them by 100, but it's the same premise. We're just doing it the opposite way. Rather than making the number bigger, we're making it smaller. So again, use my tip 2 zeros. So I'm moving this decimal place 2 places up, or I'm moving everything 2 places down because I'm dividing. So if I'm moving them down, my numbers stay the same. Okay, had the decimal there. Let's say I'm going to move that 1, 2. Need my 0 in front, so it'll be 0.009. And there we go. Nice quick one for us. Again, or you could say that you're moving the 9 from the 10th place down. Or you could say that you're taking the 9 down from the 10th place down to the 1000th place, by moving it 2 places. And again, we've got another subtraction, again with decimals. I'm going to break it down again. I'm not going to do a column subtraction for this, that'll just take too long. I'm just going to do 9, we'll take away my 1 first, nice quick easy one. Well, I get 8, then 8, take away 0.25, 7.9. Have a look. It's in my tenths column, so there's 10. So if I'm taking away 9, there must be 1 left. So 7.1. What a lot of people can do, and I've seen it multiple times, and the person who I was helping with their stats paper this year, they did this. What the people can do is take the 0.9 off, have the 0.1, but they forget to change the number and put something like 8.1. Remember, if you are taking off, you're going down to 7.1. 8.1 would be adding on. Question 22 brings in fractions, and when you look at it, it looks quite difficult straight away because you've got a mixed number here and a fraction you're taking away, but it's actually quite simple. I want to show you which way I do it, which I think is quickest, and then I'll show you another way if you want to do it that way. You might find it easier, so do it the easiest way. I would say do it your easiest and quickest, so you're being as effective as possible. But I would do that, if I look at this number and I say I've got 1 3/7, and I'm going to take away 4/7. So I know if I take away 3/7, I get down to 1. Okay, so I have 1 there. So if I just take away 3, that would leave me with 1/7 there. Can you see that? So I've took away 3/7 from here to make this 1, which means I've got 1/7 left to take away. Things like that sometimes you've just got to be able to see. Now I know that 1 is the same as 7/7. So that means if I'm doing 7/7, take away 1/7, I have 6/7 as my answer. Another way you could do it is using the fact that we know 1 is 7/7. So if I've got 7/7 here and 3/7 there, if I add them together, I've got 10/7, and I could take away 4/7 because the denominator is the same. 10 take away 4 is 6. To be fair, both of those ways are quite quick. It's whichever you find easy to see. This is more just something that you'll be able to sort of see, and if you can't, being able to convert it, that should be quite quick as well. Now we go on to our first long multiplication question of the paper. So we're going to work along. So remember, we always start with our units here, or ones. So 7 times 6 is 42. Let's put my 4 there, 2 there. And move on. 7 times 3 is 7, 14, 21. Plus my 1 is 25. I'm going to cross that 4 out so I don't get mixed up again. 7 times 8. Now this is why times tables are important, because lots of times you get your 2s, your 1s, your 3s, your 4s, you find them easy. When you get to 78, some people find difficult. Now what I'm going to say is, if you know your tables off by heart and you just know sorry about that, you just know that 7 times 8, you know the answer, brilliant. If you don't panic, use what you know. A lot of people know certain tables very, very well, like the 5s, the 10s, things like that. Now I'm doing 8 times 7. So what I'm going to do is, if you were getting stuck, you could say, right, well, what's 8 times 5? I know 8 times 5 is 40, which means 6 times 8 is 48. Now you're at 48, and all you have to do is add 8 on, and you'll get to 56. It will be a slower way, so it's better to know your tables, but it will get you to the right answer. Understand what your times tables are. So 56 added with 2, 57, 58. Now we're going to move on to the next line. We add a 0 because remember we're times by 20 now, not 2. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 3 is 6. Added with 1 is 7. And 2 times 8 is 16. There were two numbers. Add them together. 2 add 0. 5 add 2. 8 add 7 is 15. 5 add 6 is 11, add 1 is 12, and 2. So, 2, 2, 5. That's a 2-mark question. You get the right answer, and whatever method you use, you're going to get 2 marks. You're going down using this method, and you make a mistake, maybe you forget to add a 1 on, or carry a 1, or something like that, then you will get 1 mark. Question 24, we're adding 2 fractions, but they have different denominators. Remember, in order to add fractions, we need to make the denominators the same. So, easiest way to do it, you've got to find the lowest common denominator. But the easiest way I always think is doing 1 times 4 by 5 and 5 by 4, because I know that those sums when I sum around will be the same. So I'm going to do 1/5. I'm going to times that is a 5, times that by 4 to get 20 on the bottom. And whatever I do at the bottom, remember I have to do at the top, so 1 times 4 is 4/20. Then I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to times it by 4, so I've got 3/4. And I'm going to times that by 5. So that means I'm going to get 20 on the bottom again, the same. I should be getting the same numbers on the bottom. And 5 times 3 is 15. Add them together, so now I've got 4/20ths, add 15/20ths, and that will get me 19/20. Some people might see that and go, you know what it is? I'm going to try and simplify that. Don't. Okay. As long as you've got the right answer, you will get that mark. Equivalent fractions are the same. It says that in the mark scheme. So if you start to simplify that now and you get that wrong, then you're going to lose marks even though you've worked out the right answer. If you struggle with adding and subtracting fractions, different denominators, again, videos, like I keep saying, on the YouTube channel help you. Question 25, we have division by a two-digit number, and there are lots of different methods to do this. You might be taught different ways, you might find different ways better. I'm going to show you how I do it, get the answer, and you can check to see if you've got the right answer. The first thing I would do is write my multiples of 37 down the side and make it easy for me. So I've got 37, I'm going to add another 37 on, 37, so add my 30 on, 67, add my 7, 74. And I'm going to add my next 37 on, so add my 30 on, 104, add my 7, 111. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go any further because I can see there's lots of 8s there, so I might get 88, but those numbers are bigger than that, so I'm not going to keep going on down to 6, 7 times 37. I've got 1 times 7, 2 times 7, and 3 times 7. I always write the numbers down there as well, so it's easy for me to quickly check. So 37, we know it doesn't go into 8. I'm going to move my 8 over, so I've got 88 now, and I can see there that it goes into 88 twice. And I know I'm at 74, so I'll work out how many I've got left over. 6 to 80, and then 8. So 6 add 8 would give me 14. 14 left over. Now, at the start there, I said I've got my 8, so I thought 88 was going to be the biggest number I've got. And see now there, I've got 148. So what I'm going to do is find my next 37 on. So I know I'm going to have 100, add my 30 there, 40. 8, and as you can see there, just so happens the same, so I've got no remainders. Cross that numbers out as I've used them. 148 is 4 times, so my answer is 24. If you've got your multiples down the side here and you haven't got enough like I did there, don't panic, just keep adding on. You know you're just going to be adding 37 on every single time. Question 26, we have two mixed numbers and we need to add them together. What I do straight away is I separate my whole numbers and my fractions. Some people might turn them into a big mixed number, which I'll show you afterwards if you want to do it that way. So I've got 1 1/5 plus 2 and 1/10. So what I would do is I'll do 1 plus 2, so my whole numbers. Okay, 1 plus 2, so I've got 3. Now I'm going to add my fractions on. I've got 1/5 plus 1/10. I need to make the denominators the same. I know if I times this 5 by 2, I'm going to get the same denominator. So I'll have to times the top by 2. So what I've really got there is 2/10 plus 1/10. 2/10 plus 1/10. Easy sum for me. I've got 3/10. So now I've got 3 and I've got 3/10. Add them together. My answer is 3 3/10. What some people might do, which will probably get them the answer 33/10, is they will turn the whole mixed number into an improper fraction. So I know 1, I know there are, let's have a look, 5/5 in there. So it means I've got 6/5, and I've got 2 there, I know there are 20/10 there, and I've got my 1 there, so I've got 21/10. Now I'm going to times this by 2, this one here, to make it tenths. So I'd have 12/10 add 21/10. As you can see, that would equal 33 tenths, which is what I said. I think my way is easier, breaking them up. You can see you're just 1 plus 2 an easy sum, and then all you've got to do is make your denominator the same on the fraction. So either way you want to do it will work out fine. Question 27, another percentage one. This one's a bit harder though. We'll find 35% of a number, find 35% of the 320. So what I'm going to do is going to use what I know to find percentages in order to find this. So I'm going to find 10% straight away. I think it's going to be my easiest way. So find 10%, I divide by 10. So 10% is 32. I'm going to divide by 10, whole number. Just take the 0 off, move everything down one place. So 10% is 32. Okay, so I'll also need, looking at it, I know I'm going to need to know 5% as well. Well, if I know 10% is 32, I know 5 is half of 10. So if I want to find 5%, I half this number. So half of 30 is 15, half of 2 is 1, so 16. So now I've got 10% and 5%. So if I want to do 30%, okay, I need to, got my 32 here, that's 10%, times by 3 to get 30%. So 30, 60, 90, and 246. So now I've got 30%, I've got 5%, I need 35%, so I know I can add these two together and I'll get my answer. So 96, add 16, so we're 112. And easy way to find my percentage there. Fraction sums again now on question 28, and we've got 8/9, take away 1/4. Again, get these into a common denominator. For me is the easiest way because I don't have to think of the 2 times tables. I'm just going to do 9 times 4 and 4 times 9. So if you see which one I want to do, 9 times 4 is 36. Whatever I do at the bottom though, I've got to do to the top. So 8 times 4 is 32. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to times this one, quarter by 9. Okay, so 4 times 9 is 36. Again, my denominator should be the same because that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing 9 times 1, which is 9. So now I've got that sum. Basically, 32 take away 9, which will give me 23 over 36. Again, don't think, I'm going to try and simplify that. Just leave it as that and you will get your answer. Question 29 is finding percentages again. This time we're finding 51%. 50 be easy for us because we just have to half it, but this is as easy really. Got to find 50%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find 50% and I'm going to find 1%. 50% I know I need to divide by 2. So half of 900 is 450. Again, I can double check that, add them together to see I've got the right number. If I want to find 1%, I need to divide by 100. And 900 divided by 100 is 9. So I've got 50% and I've got 1%. So add those together and I have 51%. 450 add 9 is 459. Question 30 is another multiplication, long multiplication. So we have, let's just get straight into it. 2 times 8 is 16. Got a nice 2 here, it should make it easy for us at times table, we should all know. 2 times 6 is 12, plus my 1 is 13. 2 times 4 is 8, plus my 1 is 9. 2 times 3 is 6. Put my 0 there, I'm just going to take that 6 off. Put my 0 because I'm times by 6 now, not 0. Again, 6 is, for me, is a nice, easy times table. If you don't know it off by heart, lots of people know their 5 times table and you can just add 1 on. So, 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 6 is 36. Plus 4 is 40. What's that extra one add on? 6 times 4 is 24. Plus 4 is 28. And 6 times 3 is 18. Plus my 2, 19 and 20. Add them together. 6 add 0 is 6. We'll put my line across there. 8 add 3 is 11. 9 add my 1 is 10. 8 add 1 is 9. Add my 6, 15. 0 add 1 and 2. So my final answer 2 marks, 215,016. Question 31, we have a fraction and we're going to divide it by a whole number. Now these look difficult, but when you're dividing a fraction by a whole number, all you simply need to do is times your denominator, your bottom number, by your whole number. So what that means is it will be 2 over, and we need to do 3 times 3. So we know 3 times 3 is 9, so our answer is 2 ninths. Once you know how to do that, quite quickly, as you can see. Next one, we have a mixed number here, 2.5, and we're going to take away 3/4 from it. So there are 2 ways you can really do this. I'm going to show you the way I would do it, then you can decide. Firstly, whenever I'm doing anything with addition or subtraction of fractions, I'm going to make them the same denominator. So I can see I've got a 1/2 and a 1/4 here, so I'm going to times my 1, and my 2, and I'm going to times my 2 times it by 2, and I'll get 4, and that means I've got to do the same at the top, times that by 2, which means I would get 2/4. Okay, now a lot of you will know that a 1/2 is the same as 2/4 anyway. If that's so, brilliant, you don't have to do that part, you save yourself a little bit of time. So now I've got this one. So what I would do first is I would say, right, I've got 2 and 2/4, take away 3/4. So if I take my 2/4 away, I'm going to be left with 2 take away 1/4. And because I know there's 4/4 in a whole, 2 take away 1/4, I would end up with 1 3/4. Okay. Now another way you could do it is you could convert this completely into in quarters. So I could say 2 is the same as 8/4. Yeah, because 4/4 is 1. And we already converted that one. We times it by 2, so we got 2/4 there. And we're taking away 3/4. So 8/4 and 2/4 would be 10/4. So 2.5 is the same as 10/4, and I'm taking away 3/4. That would leave me ending up with 7/4, which is an equivalent fraction. So you could leave it as that if you wanted to. Either of those would get you the mark. Question 33 has us find the percentage of a number, and we need to find 36% of 450. So easy, going to go in, I'm going to find my 2 percentages separate, because 36 is not one where I'm going to know off the top of my head what I need to divide by in order to get that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find 10% by dividing my number by 10, and I would get 45. And then in order to get my 30%, let's see, I've got 30% and 6%, 36%, and to get my 30%, I'm going to times that by 3. So 3 times 45 is 135. So already I've got my 30%. Now I just need to find my 6%. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find 5 and I'm going to find 1. You could find 1 and then times it by 6, or we could do it the way I'm going to do. Now I've got 10%, so in order to find 5%, all I'm going to do is divide that by 2. Now I'm going to get a decimal, but you'll see in the end it should be alright. So I'm going to half my 40, which will get 20, and half my 5 would get 2.5, 2.5. Okay, so I've got 22.5 or 22.5 there. Next one, to find 1%. Rather than divide this by 5, I'm just going to go the easy one. I know 450 is my whole, so if I want to find 1% divided by 100, which would get 4.5. Okay, have a look at the other videos where I'm dividing by 10 and 100 and 1,000 if you're unsure of how that is. So now I've got 30%, I've got 5%, I've got 1%, so I can add them all together. So if I add my 22 and my 4, I would get 26, add my 2 halves, I've got 27, add that onto my 135, and I've got 162. Again, it's 162, not 162%. My next question, I have got a mixed number, 1 3/4 times by 10. A couple of ways to do this. I'm going to show you the way I think is easiest, and then I'll show you another way in case you just yourself find that easier. So firstly, what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to turn it all into a improper fraction, which means a top-heavy fraction you might have heard of. So I've got 3/4 and I've got 1, okay? So I need to find out how many quarters in 1. Well, I should know there are 4 quarters in 1, so I've got 4 quarters there, 3 quarters there, add them together. 1 and 3/4 is the same as 7 quarters. So now I have this sum. And when you multiply a fraction by a whole number, we did division earlier on, and we just times the bottom. When you're timesing it, you times the top. Okay, think about if I had 1/2 and I was timesing it by 2, I would have 2 halves afterward, wouldn't I? It's just my numerator I'm changing. So 7 times 10, easy for me, 7 over 4. Now again, like I've said before, you do not have to simplify your answer. You can if you want. You could take that down to 35 halves, or you could even turn it into a mixed number. But again, that's a place where you can make mistakes. You've got your answer there, nice and easy. Why do it again? Another way you could do it is you could split the number up. So I could say I'm going to do 1 times 10 and 3/4 by 10. So 1 times 10, easy sum for me, I get 10. And then I've got 3/4, and I'm going to times that by 10. Again, an easy sum because I'm just timesing my numerator, so I'm doing 3 times 10, which would get me 30/4. Okay, so I've got 10 and I've got 30/4. I'll put a line there, circle around that one so you can see, sorry, the difference. So I've got 10 and 30/4. Now this is where you have to be careful with this one, and why I think the other way is easy. You can don't have to simplify your fractions, but you could not put the answer 10 and 30/4 because what you have there is a top-heavy fraction and a mixed number. You have to have one or the other. You have to have a mixed number or a top-heavy fraction. Okay, so that way you could convert your 10 into quarters and you'd end up with 70/4 the same way, or you could turn your 30/4, this here, into a number, and you could say, right, well I know there are, find out how many 4s are in 30. Okay, 7 times 4 is 28, so it means I would have 7 and I'd have 2 left over. Okay, so my answer there would be, add it with my 10 on there. Okay, I would end up with 17 and 2/4. Ooh, and 2/4. Like that, say, I'll probably simplify that one because I know 2/4 is a half. I'm not going to make a mistake. But you can see there's a couple of more steps this way. Takes a few steps out, just makes it a little bit easier. Now one of the last 2 questions of the paper, and we have our first one asking us to find a fraction of a whole number. 5/6 times 540. We need to remember that this, when we've got a fraction times by a whole number, means the same as of, so 5/6 of 540. Now before I said you can just times your top number in order to find it, which is fine, you could do that, and then you could simplify it down. So if you could do 5 times 540, you'd have a huge improper fraction there, because what this is actually looking for us to do is to use our rule to divide by the bottom and then times by the top in order to get our answer. Okay, so find a fraction of a number, we divide by the bottom and then we times by the top. Okay, so we do 540 divided by 6. Okay, now that's an easy sum for me to do because if I take my O off there, I know that there are 9 6s and 54, then I put my 0 back on. Okay, move it over to there. So I've got 90. Now I've got 90, I'm going to times by my top, 90 times 5. Again, I can do the same thing. I look at that and say I'll do 9 times 5 is 45, and I add my 0, 1. So one of the questions right at the end there didn't take us long as we knew the rule that we had to do. Gets us 1 mark in quite a quick fashion. Next one, we have our last question, which is a 2 mark. And now with this 2 mark question, we've got a division. I'm going to do my first thing that I always say to do. I'm going to write down multiples down here to help me. Now, with this one, I am going to think about what I'm going to need first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way along to see what multiples I'll need before I start writing them down. So I'll see how many 83s are in 8. Obviously none. There are none in 80 as well. So now I have 805. Now I know, because I know my
rules of mathematics that 10 times 83 is going to be 830. Now you can see 830 is very close to 805. So rather than find my way from 1 all the way up, I'm going to start at 10 and work backwards. So rather than adding 83 each time, if I want 9 times, I can take 83 off. Okay, and I end up with 747. I worked that out quickly just before, but you could take away 80 and 3, and that's the easiest way to do it. Or you can take away your 3, then your 80, counting in tens. So I got my 747 now. So now I know that I've got 9 there, and I need to work out how many I've got left. Okay, so 9 is 747, but I was looking for 805. So how many more do I need to go on? Well, I'm going to find out I'm going to work my way up from here, so I know I need another 3, okay, to get to 750. Then I'll need another 50 to get to 800, and then to get to 800 from 5, I need another 5. Can you see how I did that there? Rather than counting or anything like that, I got to my next 10 and my next 100, and then saw how many it was. So that I know that now I am 53, 55, 56, 57, 58 away. So I need to 5, 8. So I need to find out how many 83s in 581. So I need to keep working my way back. So 8 times would be, again, take away 80, then your 3, or 3, then your 80. I'll get 664. And then 7 times I would get 581, which we can see there. It's bang on the money, it's the right one, so it's exactly 7 with none left over. So my mark would be 97. You can see there where rather than writing all my multiples down there, starting from 1, firstly would have took me ages, starting from 10 saved me time. And rather than write them down first, I've seen exactly what numbers I need to get to, and that's helped me save some time. That's the whole of the paper there. I hope that's really helped you. If you've got your stats coming up, good luck. And if you're just using this to improve your maths, I hope that's helped you. Hope you found that video useful, guys, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. You'll get notifications of any videos that I put up as and when I do. Please share it if you know anyone that will benefit from this and find it useful. And if you've got any questions or anything, comment or use the Twitter or the Facebook page. Till next time, see you later.